My initial reaction to COVID was that it will never happen in West St. Paul.
The media made it sound like a ramped up flu, and so it didn't seem like it was anything to be too concerned about.
It wasn't something that anybody had widely accepted as concerning for the U.S. or nursing homes at the time, and as the story progressed, I was thinking this is going to be a bigger deal than anybody's saying it is.
We made the decision before it was mandated by the government that every single employee wear a mask at work. We began to take temperature, we began to take pulse ox at the door to just try and identify those asymptomatic positive people. The governor of the great state of Minnesota was very early in shutting down the state, which is an incredible thing. I think it saved countless lives. We had done everything in our power to just make sure that it doesn't get in, because once it got in, we were petrified. And as soon as I got that we have one case, we immediately attempted to isolate that person. We immediately did every single thing that we had been preparing for 6 weeks.
Every staff member in that building took it personally when we got that first test, and it was just really hard to see the faces of the staff when we announced that we had our first positive case.
You can do everything right and still get bad results. And I think that sometimes when you get a result that you don't want, like maybe somebody gets sick or somebody has to move or somebody dies, it doesn't mean somebody did something wrong.
I think very quickly, within the course of 2 to 4 weeks, so about a month or so, it had spread.
And my husband was a client at Southview Wakers. About a week or so before he died, he contracted the COVID-19, and his body just couldn't fight it. But the two things that I worried about, knowing that the end was coming, however, I didn't think it was coming quite that quickly, was that he would, first of all, suffer, and second of all, he would die alone. And neither of those happened. He had a nurse that was with him when he died. They kept him comfortable. He didn't suffer, and I hope that he had in his mind that, goodbye, I love you, the last things that I said to him. And he said the same thing to me, so that was very good.
Unfortunately, some of my friends passed away during some of these.
I would say it probably did feel like a war zone. It just felt like every single day I was going in there and fighting as hard as I could and doing the best that I could for my residents every single day, just trying to keep them alive.
If you don't experience it firsthand, you can't understand it, and it is difficult to describe, but it's a beast.
Every day I had a moment where I'm sitting in my car, getting ready to leave for work, and I'm like, is this worth it? Is this safe for me? Am I gonna be okay? But my love and my connection for the residents, if I don't show up, how can I expect anyone else to show up?
I think the hardest part when it was at its peak was the loss. We haven't dealt with that yet. We haven't dealt with the grief. There hasn't been time to connect with each other and grieve the loss of our friends, but I wouldn't have changed anything that I did. I think it made me a better person as a caregiver.
We had employees here who gave up their housing, literally gave up their ability to go home because they were coming to work. You don't hear this on the news. You don't read about these things. That one story is probably the bravest thing that I've ever heard.
The frontline workers throughout this pandemic and even moving into the fall, I have nothing but respect for them, and my job is nothing compared to what they do.
I draw the similarity to like a mother who can lift a car because her baby is stuck under it. And our staff, I think, pulled strength in the same way that that mother whose baby is in danger can do that. Our staff pulled that strength in the same way to protect the residents, because that's the only way I think that we could have accomplished the things that we did in the time frame that we did.
I don't take myself as a hero. I think anybody who works in healthcare and believes in taking care of patients or residents, that is a part of our job.
I think I finally felt the heroic part when people were getting better.
I think it's really important to celebrate the huge number of people who didn't get the virus and the even greater number that survived.
It's a misconception that you cheer for a hospital worker and you boo for the nursing home workers. They are just as heroic in every sense of the word.
We had, at the point that we celebrated our graduation, we had received 2 negative point prevalence testings, which meant that we had stopped the spread of COVID in our building. And that is something to celebrate.
Oh, it was a tearjerker for me. And I thought they did such a beautiful job. And the diplomas and the hat, and I just thought it was great.
It's just been really heartwarming to see in residents' rooms like their diploma up on their window. People took that really seriously. We made a big deal out of it because it was a big deal.
We've had loss, we've had pain, we've suffered, our staff have suffered, our residents have suffered, the families have suffered. We've been through the ringer, and we're still in it. It's not over. This pandemic is far from over. But we must highlight the successes so that our staff and our residents and our families understand that this is a celebration of epic proportions of our survivors.